clean-cut Air Force vet dies in his sleep. Or so it seems.
There was no ligature marks, there was no bullet wound, there was no trauma observed at all.
Has this guy had a heart attack? Did he drink too much?
But as investigators scratch the surface, a more nefarious scenario emerges.
I have to tell you something.
Even though he's 65 years of age, he's quite the ladies' man.
This adds a whole new wrinkle into this case.
To crack this mystery, Kenda and his team must nail down a crucial detail.
We had no idea what occurred during that hour and a half.
It could have been a very volatile situation.
He's gonna snap one of these days.
It's our mission to find out. First reports are never to be believed. Don't put something in my head. Just tell me where. I will go there and I will determine what we've got. There's one thing that never changes. Murder. A life has been taken. Their stories are now my stories. I never know where a case is going to lead, but I'll never stop until it's solved. Somebody has to look out for the victim. If you kill, I will find you.
Gave him your number.
It may be late, but Carol McClendon and Rhonda Simmons are still riding high after a night on the town.
Girl, he was cute.
Carol's gonna drop Rhonda off at her townhouse.
Wait, what's going on at your mom's house?
Carol points out to Rhonda, but there's an ambulance parked there.
Can you imagine what they'd be thinking? Is my family in danger? Are they hurt? They have no idea what's going on, but they know that it's something very serious.
Oh my God.
I'm often up several times during the night, and sometimes I cannot go back to sleep. That particular morning, I was standing in front of the window, looking at the city lights, wondering what everyone was up to at that moment. And the phone rang, and I knew that somebody was up to something.
It's Kenda. Okay, I'll be right there.
Be careful, Joe.
I will.
Minutes later, Kenda pulls up to a suburban home awash in police lights. Detective Perry Freeman is already on the scene.
Hey, Lieutenant. Sorry to drag you out at this hour.
Anything else going on?
In '94, I was one of 6 homicide detectives that worked under Joe Kenda. And when I arrived, there were a number of uniforms already there.
So what do we got?
Victim's name is Willie Jackson, age 65.
He spent 20 years in the Air Force. Now, this guy, he looks like he's 45. He's in great shape for a 65-year-old man.
You know, he's somebody who really takes care of himself. He works at the fitness center at Fort Carson.
His wife's a lot younger, maybe mid-40s. He lived here with her and her teenage son.
So who made the call?
Wife did.
Said she found her husband on the bedroom floor unresponsive, no pulse.
Thinks it might have been alcohol poisoning.
Alcohol poisoning. What do you think?
I only did a walkthrough, but she could be right.
The Major Crimes Unit responds to any suspicious death. And in a case like this, I don't think anybody knew if we had...
Let's go take a closer look while we wait for the coroner to arrive.
Normally when I walk into a crime scene, nobody's in there. And when I walked into this crime scene...
So what's with the full house?
There was a mob in there.
They were here when I got here.
There are 3 women and a young male standing around in this kitchen.
So who are all these people?
These 2 are the wife's daughter and a friend.
He said they saw the EMTs and they stopped on their way home. So they weren't here when this event occurred.
How about the other 2?
Well, one is his wife, Tony, And the kid is named Malik. He is the wife's son by another marriage.
So they live here. They were here when the ambulance got on scene. We can't have them all standing around here, though. Yes, sir.
It's important to have witnesses, but it's not important to have them in the crime scene. So my next direction was move these people out of this building.
I want you to take the 2 witnesses and put them in separate patrol cars. Yes, sir. Let's take a look around.
The first thing you do is make an assessment of what kind of place is this. Are things broken and out of place and turned over?
Someone runs a tight ship here.
It sure looks that way.
They found the house to be fairly tidy, well kept. Things were in their normal places.
The one thing detectives find to be out of place is the victim himself.
When we first observed Willie's body, he was on the floor of a bedroom.
It's a strange place to lay down. I guess he was drunk.
You could smell the alcohol. So the assumption was that he had just been drinking recently.
Paramedics said they found him in that position.
In Colorado, a body is never disturbed until a coroner is present. We observe what we can see without moving the body.
On initial observation, there was no ligature marks, there was no bullet wound, there was no trauma observed at all.
Well, he could have had a heart attack. Maybe hit the bottle too hard.
Yep. There's more empties in the kitchen. Wife might have been right about the alcohol poisoning.
A person can actually drink himself to death by consuming way too much alcohol. The body functions slow down, and pretty soon you can just stop breathing.
Hey, Joe. Heard you might have a body for me. Yeah, he's all yours. Let's talk to witnesses.
We leave the coroner to do his work, and it's time to do our work. Let's talk to the other humans that aren't dead and see what they know about how Willie came to be the way he is.
Well, come Lieutenant Canada, Detective Friendly.
So the first person I speak to is the son, Malik. He is Tony's son. He is not Willie's son.
You mind if we ask you a few questions?
He exhibits the behavior of a normal 17-year-old, sullen and quiet and distrustful of adults.
First off, I'm sorry about your stepfather.
We weren't that tight. Did you get along?
No, not really.
He said, I don't like him, and he doesn't like me either.
Where's your natural father?
He's up in Washington. Haven't talked to him in a while, though. Why don't you tell us what happened tonight?
Malik says, I was out with friends. I didn't come home till about 11:30.
And my mom was upset. Told me to go to my room. Willie was in the mood.
Malik says that in a mood to him means that Willie's drunk. Willie's always drunk, and therefore he's always in a mood.
He always wants to come home and fight. And he doesn't stop until he passes out.
So what else did your mom say?
She told me to stay out of his way. Stay in my room.
He said, and I took that advice because when he's drunk and he's angry, we really don't get along. So I just went downstairs and started watching TV.
Who the hell do you think you are? Talking to me like that.
What are you, junk-ass fool?
Malik advised that.
So he turned on his television so he didn't have to hear the disturbance.
According to Malik, he was up for the next few hours, and eventually hunger struck.
He noticed that the phone line had been jerked out of the wall. Not just removed, but jerked out.
Malik?
He said, my mother called to me from the master bedroom.
Yeah.
Malik! Malik!
Why?
Get in here!
So Malik walked into the bedroom and saw his mother kneeling on the floor next to Willie.
She was checking for a pulse, but there was nothing. She called 911, but it was too late. He was already dead.
Excuse me, Lieutenant. Sorry to interrupt. They need you inside. Okay. Thanks, Malik. So what do you got so far?
I'll show you.
So it's totally possible that he died of natural causes or alcohol poisoning. But take a look at this.
So he rolls the victim over onto his stomach.
Looks like he might have been stabbed.
Now we have a mystery on our hands. We are summoned to this home because Mr. Willie Jackson is dead on the second floor. When the wife called 911, she said alcohol poisoning. Our coroner reports he has a puncture wound that we cannot explain.
It's small, but it could go pretty deep. It's in a really bad spot.
There are important vessels that run through the thigh, one of which is the femoral artery, the main artery that supplies blood to the lower extremity.
If it was deep enough, could have hit an artery. It could have bled to death. It's too soon to say. Have to wait on the autopsy.
Right. Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. Kind of a strange place for a stabbing.
Yeah, just one wound.
We're all thinking that's a very unusual place to be stabbed. And we thought possibly he'd cut himself on something outside, or maybe he'd been injured before he even came home from work. He could have fallen on something.
It's odd. Even if the wound didn't hit the artery, it seems like it still would have bled plenty.
So if we're concerned about blood loss being the significant factor here, where is it?
There's no blood on the bed or the walls.
This place is clean.
And he pulls the sheets back. Ooh, now that's significant.
We found that there was a large soaking of blood into the mattress of the bed next to the body.
That's a lot of blood.
The bloodstain has been concealed by clean sheets. Why would somebody do that?
Hey, Lieutenant, can I talk to you?
Of course.
I don't know if it was connected or not, but I've answered 2 calls here today. The last one was about several hours ago.
He said somebody called 911 and we responded here on a welfare check.
Miss Jackson answered the door, said nothing going on, she didn't need the place. So we left.
And then a couple hours later, she calls back, and now we're here.
You made the first 911 call?
I don't know. I'll have to call dispatch to find out.
So where's the wife now?
She's right here.
I'll talk to her. Thanks.
Up to this point in the investigation, Tony hasn't been talked to yet. Now it's time to find out what was going on in this household tonight.
Who concealed blood in my crime scene?
Tony, I'm Lieutenant Ken. Very sorry about your husband.
That's fine.
When I meet Tony, she's upset, somewhat soft-spoken.
How long has you known Willie?
We've been married for about 2 years now.
She said, I met him at the Garcia Gym on Fort Carson, where he's employed as a trainer.
Hey, can you spot me?
Absolutely.
Think I need a little help with my phone.
I think so. Go ahead, show it to me again. What do you like to do for fun?
Why are you asking me out?
Maybe.
Tony.
Willie.
She said we fell in love very quickly.
He was actually married at the time, but wasn't happy, so he left her for me.
And it's your belief he died of alcohol poisoning?
When I met him, I knew he liked to drink, but I never realized it was this bad.
She said, I noticed in the last few months that the drinking became a problem and we began to argue a lot.
Can you walk me through what happened?
Willie came home late. He usually gets off at 9, but didn't get here until 10:30. I was on the phone with my ex-husband at the time, discussing some issues about our son Malik. Cornelius, he needs his father. You should come out and see him.
She said he was so drunk he could barely stand up.
Can't you see I'm on the phone? Oh my God, is that blood? What the hell did you do now?
None of your damn business. Who the hell are you talking
Will
to?
you lower your voice? It's just Malik's dad.
Oh, that son of a bitch. Give me that.
She said he was so angry he jerked the phone line out of the wall to prevent me from continuing to talk to my ex-husband.
He gets so jealous over the smallest thing. I was so mad. I yelled at him to go to bed and sleep it off. And finally, he slunk off.
Tony believes her ex-husband, Cornelius, must have been worried when the line went dead. Apparently, he called 911 to have police check on her.
But she sent the officers away because at the time they arrived, there was no problem, she said.
What happened next?
Well, Malik had come home, and I sent him to his room in case Willie woke up. I didn't want any more tension between those two. And I guess the whole time, Willie kept going on his whiskey. So I went in to check on him. Oh my God, Willie, are you okay? So much blood. You drank all this?
She said he mumbled something. She couldn't understand what it was. But she put a pill under his head and decided that she needed to clean these sheets before any stains set in.
So I got that going and something just didn't feel right. I had this sick feeling, so I went back to check on him again. Oh my gosh, Willie! Malik!
Why?
Malik, get in here!
She called Malik, her son, to come up, and at that point they realized it was probably time to call 911.
Here's the bed sheets and rags that I used to clean the carpet in the bedroom.
Okay, now this is important. Did you clean up blood anywhere else in the house besides the bedroom?
No, why?
So, well, he's got a puncture wound in his leg. And if it hit a major vein or an artery, that's possible he could have bled to death.
Seriously?
We're also considering the possibility that he was stabbed this evening.
You mean someone could have killed him?
She appeared to be very shocked.
Can you think of anyone that might want to harm your husband?
No.
Any idea where he stopped on the way?
He didn't say.
Here's my card. If you think of anything else, give me a call. I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
We're gonna find out who did this. I promise.
So we know Willie is alive at or about 9 p.m. And he's alive at 10:30 p.m. when he comes home.
What if Willie Jackson encountered someone on his way home from work and was stabbed in the process?
Many things can happen in 90 minutes. We need to know where Willie Jackson was for the 90 minutes that he's unaccounted for in his timeline.
Hoping to find out, Kenda sends a detective to Willie's place of employment.
The Garcia gym on Fort Carson opens at 5 o'clock in the morning because GIs have to get their exercise in before they go to work.
Excuse me, can I speak to the manager?
Yeah, sure. I'm Jose Peralta. How can I help you?
I hate to tell you this, but one of your employees, Willie Jackson, was found dead last night.
That detective speaks to Willie's boss at the gymnasium, tells him that Willie's dead, which the guy cannot believe that he is.
Think it was foul play?
Well, I'm trying to rule that out. What can you tell me about Willie? What kind of employee was he?
Well, he was great, actually.
Jose told Detective Freeman that Willie was a very good worker. Always on time. Never any problems with him.
The people he worked with really loved him.
He never complained once if I needed something.
Do you know what time he left work last night?
He refereed a volleyball game, so 9, give or take. I can ask some of the other guys that worked that game and get back to you with the exact time if you'd like. I want to help.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Listen, you know if Willie had a problem with alcohol?
And Jose indicated that, well, I could smell alcohol on him, but he was such a good worker that never interfered with his work, so I didn't go there.
All right, well, here's my card. And keep in touch.
We're still trying to figure out what our storyline is here between all these different players. And then...
Come in, Lieutenant. There's Miss Jackson here to see you. Says she has something important to tell you.
Okay, send her in.
Right this way, ma'am.
I have to tell you something.
Have a seat.
I was thinking, and there's something you should know.
Oh, and what do you need to tell me?
Willie was cheating on me.
Why didn't you tell us this earlier?
I'm sorry, my mind's all over the place.
Even though Willie Jackson is 65 years of age, he's quite the ladies' man. What if he stops by his girlfriend's place on his way home and she stabs him. It's happened before. We need to know if it happened again. We're investigating the death of Willie Jackson, who it turns out has been a busy guy. His wife says that he's cheating on her and he has a girlfriend, and she thinks his girlfriend may be involved in his death.
So, what makes you think he has a girlfriend?
Well, about a week ago, I was looking in his truck and I found some condoms. What the hell?
The wife, Tony, tells me they don't use condoms when they have sex. Obviously, he uses condoms with this other woman.
Now I'm wondering if he was with her last night before he came home. I found this note.
So now we've introduced yet another person. Who is Jenny, and is Jenny married?
It's entirely possible Willie stopped by Jenny's house after work.
Jenny? You home?
That's Robert.
And her husband came home unexpectedly.
Back door.
Obviously, we want to talk to Jenny. So we track her down at her residence.
Lieutenant Kendall's Detective Freeman from CSPD. We're looking for Jenny Harris.
That's me.
Much like his current wife, Tony, she is young and she is very attractive.
What's this all about?
We're investigating the death of Willie Jackson.
She admits that, yeah, I know Willie. He's in a large circle of friends that I have.
None of us can believe what happened. It's really horrible.
We'd like to ask you a few questions.
Okay, it'll have to be quick. My husband's coming home soon.
It shouldn't take long.
Come on in.
We say we're there because we have information that leads us to believe that she had a relationship with Willie Jackson.
Relationship? No. I told you we were just friends.
We were told that you were having an affair. Is that true?
I'd really rather not discuss that right now.
Jenny, you can be straight with us. Your husband doesn't need to know.
We want her to understand clearly that we're not going to reveal her involvement, or sexual or otherwise, with this individual to anyone she may be associated with.
We just need to make sure that you and your husband weren't involved in his death.
What? Fine. Willie and I were seeing each other. It was nothing serious, just casual.
She finally admits to being involved with him.
You know, he's a handsome guy. Wasn't really love between us. But I haven't even seen him since last week.
Is your husband aware of the relationship?
No.
Are you sure?
Believe me, if he knew, I would know about it.
Although Jenny seems truthful, detectives can't just take her word for it.
Fortunate for us, we're dealing with a very confined time frame. To commit a murder, you must at a minimum have the opportunity to do so.
Can you tell us where your husband was last night between 9 and 10:30 p.m.?
Yes, he was with me. We were at my sister's house playing cards until midnight. I can give you her information.
I'm checking her.
Yeah. We called Jenny's sister to verify that they had no opportunity to be involved in the death of Willie Jackson on the prior evening.
Checks out. Well, thank you for your time.
Wait, you're not going to talk to my husband about this, are you?
We're not concerned about that. We'll let ourselves out.
I know more secrets and have forgotten more secrets than most people will ever know. My only concern is who caused Willie Jackson to be no longer alive.
With their lead up in smoke, Kenda and Freeman are back to the most basic of questions. Was Willie Jackson even murdered?
Hey, Doc.
Hey, Lieutenant.
You finished with the Willie Jackson autopsy yet?
As a matter of fact, I just got the toxicology report back.
The coroner said he did have a very high blood alcohol content, but that's meaningless and very common in an alcoholic.
The leg wound is the culprit. And it's not an accidental injury where he ran into something sharp. It was made by a steak knife. And it's in the damnedest spot, too, the Hunter's Canal.
This area of the thigh has some veins and arteries that come from the heart, and so a fairly minor wound could cause extensive bleeding.
It severed a vein? and there is some damage to the femoral artery. So the method of death is exsanguination. I'm ruling it a homicide.
Exsanguination is essentially a very fancy term for bleeding to death.
Here we are. This is a scientifically established murder.
Given that Willie Jackson died a slow death, it's unclear what time he was stabbed. It's even less clear who stabbed him.
Absent any other suspects, one person who's obviously a person of interest is the wife. At this point, we want to find out as much as possible about the relationship between Tony and Willie Jackson. So we decide we want to talk to Willie's ex-wife, Cynthia. We want to ask her two things. We want to ask her about Tony. We want to ask her about Willie.
Yeah, I heard he's dead. It's so hard to believe.
Can you tell us a little bit about him?
She responds about Willie that he is a good man and he does drink. He's always been a good provider. She's always speaks well of him until he meets this evil woman.
But that Tony, now she's a piece of work. Now she's the kind of crazy who would kill her husband.
Why is that?
She tried to kill me.
What?
Oh my. Well, that's interesting. We're investigating the stabbing death of Willie Jackson, and we believe his wife Tony is involved in his death, but we don't have enough evidence to prove it. And now, Willie's ex-wife is telling us that Tony tried to kill her as well.
Can you tell us what happened?
She tried to convince Willie to leave me and marry her, and I was not gonna have that. So I thought it was a phase. I thought it was something he'd get over, but that witch came after me.
The ex-wife says that she was driving down the street one day,
and another car was driving the opposite direction. The car looked like Tony's.
Did you get a good look at the person driving?
No, but I knew it was her.
And at that point, she told Willie, I'm giving you a divorce. Tony is crazy. I don't want anything to do with her.
Did you report the incident?
What proof did I have?
And that's why you think that she might have killed Willie?
Yeah. She's crazy.
All right, well, thank you for your time. Sorry about your ex-husband.
so you have to kind of disregard what she says about Tony, because she absolutely despises Tony. She broke up her marriage. But if Tony really did throw that rock, who knows what else she could be capable of?
Tony certainly fits the bill. I mean, if he's a womanizing drunk who picks fights with her kids, that's a motive to kill somebody.
True. But that wouldn't hold up in court without evidence. Plus, we're unaware of Willie's whereabouts for 90 minutes.
There's a lot of possibilities of what might have happened. Between when he got off work and when he arrived home, he could have had an altercation with someone.
Or he could have gotten stabbed after he arrived home, and that also works.
Take this. Hello?
As this investigation is progressing, Detective Freeman got a phone call.
Hey, this is Jose Peralta from Garcia Fitness Center. We met the morning after Willie died.
Yes, of course.
The boss informs us that he spoke to a co-worker of Willie's who was working the night of Willie's death.
Remember how I told you Willie refereed a volleyball game that night? Well, I thought it was over around 9, but turns out it was a close game. It went really long.
Yeah?
My guy said Willie didn't leave the gym until 10:05.
Really? Okay, hey, thanks very much. So it turns out Willie left work at 10, which means he went straight home.
So there is no other Mr. X or Miss X involved that's in the house. And who's in that house? Well, Tony and Malik certainly are.
But was it Willie's wife or stepson who had it out for him? For insight, Kenda and Freeman turned to a family friend.
Willie has a friend that he spent a lot of time with, is in the service with.
Thanks for coming in on such short notice.
I'm just really shook up about Willie.
He likes to drink. He likes the ladies.
He certainly wasn't the greatest husband in the world, but he was a really good friend to me.
Has Willie mentioned to you about any issues at home?
He came to me seeking advice about his stepson.
Raising a teenage boy at age 17 is not a simple process when you're not his father. And so Willie asked his friend for advice.
Kid is out of control. Doesn't want to go to work. He doesn't want to go to school. He brings his friends over all the hours of the day and night. And anytime we ask him to do anything, he just won't listen.
I think it's just a phase.
At that age, teenagers are going through all kinds of hormonal issues. He was probably just coming into manhood, just trying to find himself.
His friend explained to Willie that that's normal for a teenage boy that's been uprooted from his father, so he's going to be an angry young man.
When I say angry, I'm not exaggerating. I can see it in his eyes. He's going to snap one of these days.
I think Willie was afraid of him.
I'm afraid that Malik might turn violent?
Definitely.
Well, no. Is he capable of murder? Of course he is. He's a human.
Kenda wonders, did a fight between Willie and his stepson turn deadly? And did Tony help cover for her son?
We want to talk to Cornelius, his natural father, to find out about Malik as a person. Is he capable of violent behavior?
Hi, this is Lieutenant Kenda with the Colorado Springs Police Department. I'd like to ask you a few questions regarding the death of Willie Jackson. Is now a good time?
Sure, what can I do for you?
I said, so why is it that Malik is living with his mother and the late Willie Jackson and not with you?
Well, I recently retired from the Army and was looking for a job up here in Washington. Now, Malik was living with me then, but he was having problems in school.
What type of problems?
Kids picking on him, starting fights. He started cutting classes and his grades dropped. Thought the change of pace might do him some good, give him a fresh start.
He said, so I discussed it with my ex-wife, and she agreed she and her new husband, Willie, would deal with Malik.
And when did he move here to the Springs?
About 3 months ago. But things haven't gotten any better. The night Willie died, Tony actually called me, asking me what she should do about Malik.
Cornelius indicated that at that time, while he was on the phone with Tony, he heard Willie come home.
He was screaming at her. I heard her yell in the background for me to call 911.
And then the line went dead, and we called to have the police check on what's going on in that house. So we now know that Cornelius, in fact, was the person who made that first phone call.
I was really worried about Tony and my son. I mean, they had me freaking out.
Let me ask you this. Which do you think is more likely? That your ex-wife would be violent toward Willie? Or that your son would be violent protecting his mother?
I don't know. I don't want to think any of those things happen.
All right, well, I appreciate the help. Thank you.
With Tony and Malik equally good suspects, Kenda hatches a plan to tip the scales.
When we start to focus on one or two people, we'll again review the physical evidence, seeing if it gives us a better insight into what happened.
What's this all about?
Mrs. Jackson, we have a warrant to search the premises for further evidence.
What? What more could you possibly need?
Please step aside.
Well, right away, Tony's very defensive, like, we already told you everything that happened.
Luckily for Kenda, his crime scene technicians have something that can bring the truth to light.
Luminol is a chemical agent that crime scene investigators can spray at crime scenes. Essentially, it's a way to detect hidden blood or blood that's been cleaned up at a scene.
So we search this entire house. They spray the suspected areas where blood might fluoresce in the dark. It turns a weird blue-green color.
Is everybody ready?
Sure. Wow.
And we find blood all over this house. When humans die from bleeding to death, their blood can tell you the story of the death. All of it speaks to, look at this. This is why Willie Jackson is dead. began this investigation, we had a crime scene with very little blood. But after spraying luminol, there is blood all over this house. Without a doubt, this is where Willie Jackson was stabbed.
There's blood stains on the walls. There's blood stains on the doorknobs. There's blood stains on the floor. A lot more than the human eye would ever have seen.
And it's very obvious that this is a much bigger deal than we thought initially.
Looks like he was stabbed in the kitchen, near the phone.
And they made a huge effort to cover up the evidence. Must have taken them hours.
Investigators begin removing carpet and tiles to place into evidence.
You guys are wrecking my house.
Well, that's not our intention. We're just doing our jobs.
So she is coming unstuck. Now she's very, very worried and has a very, very guilty appearance.
What, you think me and my son did this?
I find it awfully strange that you said the only place you cleaned up blood was in this bedroom. And now we're finding it all over the house.
But my son had nothing to do with this.
Then who did?
I don't know.
We're looking at her, and she's unable to maintain eye contact. Her body language is a flight body language. She's a nervous wreck.
You sure you don't want to change your statement? Anything you want to add?
I already told you the truth.
I mean, it's pretty obvious to me, based on my own experience, that Tony's up to her neck in the death of her husband.
But Kenda still needs Tony to admit that. And he knows just how to coerce her into doing so.
Okay. Are you willing to take a polygraph to prove it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Fine. Come on down.
Okay, just have a seat for me right here.
She comes to the station, all dressed and ready to go and seems very confident.
Have you ever done one of these before?
No.
It's okay. It's real simple.
But her personality starts to change. She starts getting a little bit fidgety.
To me, a polygraph in and by itself is not a scientific instrument. It's why they're not admissible in court. What is useful is if the person believes that that machine is going to say whether they're telling the truth or not, and cause them to make a statement.
Is that too tight?
When you sit down in that chair and the polygraph test is about to start, that's when you maybe realize, wait a minute, maybe I'm not able to kind of lie my way through this.
Miss Jackson, are you okay?
Stop. I'm not gonna do this.
Just sit tight.
So the polygraphist went out and told Kenda, hey, she's not taking the test.
I stabbed him. I stabbed Willie.
It's okay. Just tell us what happened.
He came home from work that night already drunk. So drunk. I think he always has a few on his way home. I heard you should come see him.
Who you on the phone with?
Hold on. Willie, lower your voice. It's just Malik's dad.
Who the hell you think you are? Talking to me like that.
Willie, you drunk-ass fool. Can't you see him on the phone?
They get into a pretty good argument. They're in a shoving match now.
Hello? Man, come get your wife and kids. I don't want them here no more.
I'm gonna call the cops if you don't stop. Please call the cops.
And he then rips the phone out of the wall. And he's pretty upset.
What the hell is wrong with you? He took off after that. I think he was scared that the police might actually show up, and of course they did. But by then, things had settled down. And Malik was still downstairs, so I thought things were okay.
Do you know where Willie went during that time period?
I have no idea.
Tony explains that after the police left, Willie eventually came out of hiding.
What? Are you trying to get me arrested?
Willie, I'm sick of this. It's the same thing every night.
Why don't you just leave then?
Yeah, okay, maybe I will.
He is standing over her. He is choking her.
You gonna learn to do what the hell I say. Huh? Huh? You hear me? You listening to me? Huh? And she grabbed a steak knife.
He lets go of her, and as he walks away, she just poked him in the back of the leg.
That blade finds the only place in his back of his left thigh that would kill him. It is magic. Or in the case of Willie Jackson, the worst possible luck.
He went to bed. I thought he'd sleep off the booze, so I started cleaning up before Malik came upstairs. I was so upset I didn't even know he was dying.
She never thought in her wildest dreams that, stabbing someone in the leg like that could cause her death.
In my opinion, I do not believe Tony had any intent to kill him. She wanted to hurt him, and that's not the same thing.
After reviewing the case, the DA concludes that Tony Jackson was acting in self-defense and declines to press murder charges.
She legitimately seemed to be telling the truth about being fearful for her life. He's choking her. He's highly intoxicated. Grabbing the knife was just kind of an instinctive thing, but I think she actually thought things could escalate to the point that she could possibly die that evening.
In my view, her crime was cleaning up blood, as she was ultimately charged with.
As a result of that, she was sentenced to 3 years of supervised probation.
What's sad about this is that Willie, had he not been so drunk and passed out, he maybe could have saved himself. If he realized I'm bleeding really badly, maybe I can call for help myself.
In married couples, the possibility of tragedy coming from constant argument is immense. Your behavior drives your life, and your behavior can also end it very suddenly.